Hey folks, welcome back to my incredibly messy shop. Dana here. I'm going to be working on part 2 of the yellow birch cardigan handle stick today. And that's the yellow birch root that will make the handle. I've trimmed off all the smaller roots already, scraped off most of the dirt, and basically I'm just going to trim all the bigger roots so that it comes into shape a little bit. I'm going to take off quite a bit in here, and there's plenty of meat on the other side to make the actual cardigan handle. For those who aren't familiar with a cardigan, it's a type of handle developed in Wales, sometimes called a Llandovery stick. Hope I didn't butcher the pronunciation too bad. And it's a very popular style amongst cane makers in the UK. It's your shank meets here, comes up, has the heel in here, has a slightly curved top, and then comes down to a curved face that has an oval profile, and as it goes towards the stick it becomes rounder, and then round as it meets the shank. So we'll get going on some sawing. I got some initial trimming done. You can see where I've cut it. It's going to have some really cool grain, although most of this side will be filed down. So I'm trying to get it all into one plane, basically straight up and down from that little spot right there, straight to there. On the back side you can see better where I've got plenty of meat to make the handle itself, and all those little ripples, and when I file those down, those will have some really good grain underneath it, as will that spot there where that little branch connected, or another root I should say. Normally I wouldn't take off yellow birch bark, because I really love yellow birch, the way it looks when the finish hits it. If you saw my first video, the yellow birch root cane, you can see what it looks like. I'll pop a link into the description. But in this case, I think the grain is going to be more the feature than the bark itself. So I'm just gonna keep whittling away at it. I've left it long for now, just so I can squeeze that part up in the vise, so I can hold on to it better. I did a little more cutting on it, and you can begin to get a good idea of where it's going to be along that pencil line there. This will be taken off and thinned out in here. Of course, that nub right there taken off, and the curve across the top flattened, smoothed out quite a bit. But yeah, that's gonna have some really great grain in it, and it's more or less all in one plane now. And this end will have an oval, rounded at the top and then a little pointier at the bottom. Well, I did a little bit of power sanding with the belt sander, shaping it a little bit. It's coming down nicely. That's more or less the profile I'm looking for on the end. So I'll have to bring all that down, and that part there I'll be carving in a curve, and I'm going to take that part down, but it's looking like there's going to be some really nice green in it. So I'm going to go at it with the rasp for a while and see how I do. Well, you can see the classic cardigan shape's really taking shape now. I have to take this down a little bit more so it matches in here. But yeah, she's coming along really nice. I'm going to take this down a little more too. There's plenty of meat there still. And working my way down to the little pencil sketch. Half tempted to leave that just as a kind of point of interest. Plus, I think if I take it all away, it's going to kind of screw up the shape a little bit. So I might leave that just as a feature rather than a flaw. But yeah, it's got some really nice grain showing. Well, most of the heavy-duty shaping is done. Gave it a little bit of a sanding just to see what the grain was looking like, and it's really nice. You can see there's lots of swirls in it, and the side's looking pretty sweet. That'll finish up really nice there. I think I like that little back inclusion. It kind of adds a little more of a natural touch. Well, I think the next thing I got to do is cut her off, which I'll be doing right about there. Well, I got to cut off, and I've started drilling the hole. It's a little off center, but that was on purpose because I'm going to take some of the meat off that side to make it meet be the same circumference as the shank. So yeah, she's slow boring with the old bit and brace, but it works. Well, I got the hole drilled, and it's in there about 2 inches, and decided to do a little more shaping on it. And that's pretty much gonna be it right there. Just gonna smooth off all the edges, and got that taken down some. And gonna have to peel the shank down a little bit, that peg joint, because that hole is way too small for it. But I like to go just a bit over a third of its diameter. Seems to make a nice strong joint. But there's others that will drill like a 5/8 hole in the handle and the shank and use a piece of threaded rod. You could use dowels. There's, like I say, lots of different ways to do it. This is just the way I happen to. So I've got the peg joint, the tenon on the shank down to its pretty much its final diameter. Needs a little tiny bit more. But I've been squaring up the shoulders so that that joint there is nice and tight. You can see where that was where I made a little tiny boo-boo when I was cutting it. But to do that, I'm using this. It's an idea I got from one of the members of the Walking Stick Forum. It's www.walkingstickforum.com. It's a guy named CV3. His name's Randy. It was an idea he shared with the bunch. Just take a piece of plywood, stick a good aggressive piece of sandpaper to it, and just twist away at it, and that'll make the shoulders nice and straight, so you have a good straight joint. Now I've decided to put a spacer in it. Could use a piece of wood, but I've decided to use a piece of buffalo horn, and this is one they sell them as dog chew treats. I got it through Amazon a while ago. Sliced down, and I'll slice it off there, put a hole through it there, and then probably pop it onto the belt sander, make it nice and smooth, so it's a one flat plane. And used it on a few canes, and it looks really sharp when it's sanded up nice. Well, I got the spacer drilled. Went with power tool this time because that buffalo horn is hard to drill with a bit and brace. And plus, I wanted the little tiny scrap that came out of the hole for a future project. So anyways, once you get a hole in there, you just snug it up like that, and if you can see a gap of light in between the spacer and the shank, you still got some trimming to do. Just keep trimming the end off, and you can dish this in a little bit too, which is what I usually do. Take my Dremel and dish it in a little tiny bit. So just keep fiddling with it until it fits. Well, I've got the handle down to its pretty much final shape. I'm doing some filing on it and more sanding. What I thought was scratches is actually ripples in the grain right there. If that's focused. And it's showing some really nice grain. That's going to look fantastic when the finish is on. Nice little end grain there. That's going to look really nice. Some nice end grain there, with some good color in it. And need to do a little bit more down on where it's going to meet the shank, but I'll do that when it's actually glued on. But yeah, really happy with that. Got a little more in there to do. That inside curve's always a little tricky, but just keep whittling away at it and she'll come out nice. Well, I've got the handle pretty much fitted. A little tiny bit more tweaking here and there, but it's pretty close. And to do it, I did the same trick with the little piece of plywood and sandpaper. Just put it on the other way where the spacer is here, and then just twist the handle back and forth on it, and that's making it nice and tight. So, but she's coming. Well, I got her glued on. Some 2-part epoxy. I mixed a little sawdust in too, just to fill out any gaps I might have missed. But she fits pretty tight. So, and oh, that grain is just really. But oh yeah, that's gonna look nice when the finish hits it. So, anyways, I'll come back to it tomorrow. Hopefully that'll be dry. Well, it's the next day, and the glue seems to have dried up nice. So I'm gonna pop it on the belt sander and take it down so it's all smooth. See what the joint looks like. Plus I gotta take it down a little bit anyways, because right in there is a little big, and you can see the curve isn't quite right. So well, I got her taken down, and the joint looks really nice. Came out really sweet. And the grain's looking fantastic. And the shank is, well, like I said before, it's not straight, but it's okay, you know. It has enough going for it with the Birdseye in it. I think it'll look fine. And if you sight along it, you can see it's really not straight, but it seems to be well balanced enough that it's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to say, except for a bit of finish, she's done. I'll give it a quick spray and I'll let you see what the grain looks like. Well, she's had a first coat of polyurethane, and that grain is amazing. A lot of chatoyance. The joint's nice and tight. Shank has got a lot of chatoyance in it as well. And I'm going to call this one done. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, go ahead and give her a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give her a thumbs down. Either way, feel free to leave a comment, unless it's something about cleaning up my messy shop. Not sure what my next project's going to be. Thinking might give my stick that I use a bit of a refurbish. It's about 25-30 years old, and it's starting to show a little wear. And sometime probably next couple 3 weeks, I'll take you up in the woods and we'll cut a few sticks. Thanks for watching.